Hi, it's Jason in Jason's Jungle. Look, got myself a new gardening hat. That's to stop the little thinned patch getting too sun in the summer. Not that it looks like we've got any sun at the minute, but what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you things that I'll be sowing and planting out this month. Well, one of the first things I'm going to be doing this month is I'll be planting up my potatoes. I've got some King Edwards, I've got fir apples, and I've got Heidi Reds. They've all been chipping away and are got nice eyes on them and are ready to start putting into the pots. But I've also got a whole load of other things I'm going to be doing. We'll start off with the cucumber family. So might as well start off with cucumbers. A few different types of cucumbers here. Burpless Tasty, Masterpiece, Market More, Crystal Lemon and Armenian Striped. I'm not going to plant all of these because I don't have, well, I probably could squeeze them all in somewhere, but I don't really want to be so inundated with cucumbers. So I think I'm going to put aside the Market More and the Masterpiece. I will go, oh, I've also got bush champion, I'll tell that in a second. I will use the Crystal Lemon. I grew this a few years ago outside, and once I managed to convince my family that these were in fact cucumbers, they loved them. So I'm going to try them again. I've got Burpless Tasty Green F1. Grew that last year and it lived up to its name. It is green. It's also tasty and burpless. Handy that. And I have my striped Armenian. I just didn't get many last year. I did try growing them. Going to give them another go and just see if I get anything. Just as the sound as if they're going to be interesting. They're a melon that tastes like that thinks it's a cucumber. So they're not actually cucumbers, but they also can go quite long, 3 foot. Just for a different thing. But I also got some of these. These are from Nicky's Nursery, Cucumber Bush Champion. They're a bush cucumber. So instead of growing up a trellis that grows a bush, they do need some support, but they'll grow in pots on the patio. And I'm going to try growing them in our shady back garden. Doesn't get too much sun, but if it's in a pot I can move it around or put it, in the best position. And it's going to be interesting to see what I get off of this. I may have also one or two, one down the plot. But I want to see what you get from a bush as well as a vine. So they're the cucumbers. Sticking with that family, we've got the courgettes. Again, I've got quite a few different courgettes, but I'm not going to plant them all. I've got Patterson Gagat, which looks like a patty pan. Cookneck, which is the yellow cookneck squash. Courgette Zephyr. Now I grew this last year and it was very productive. And it's yellow courgette with a green tip, although the green tip did fade quite quickly. But it was just kicking them out something rotten. So I'm definitely growing that one this year. Then I've got the nice a fruit rond, which is a round fruited one. All green bush. Black Beauty and Courgette Troboncino. I'll come to that by itself in a second. But I'm definitely going with Zephyr F1. It was so productive last year and so tasty. Now, I'm not too keen on patty pans or the round ones. They're harder to slice, so I'm going to get rid of them ones. And that means I would have green bush, crookneck, Black Beauty and Zephyr. I might only grow out of the Black Beauty, the Green Bush, one of them, but I haven't decided which one. So that's will give me more than enough squashes for me, my family, my sister's family, my nieces, my nephews, neighbours. Yeah. Now I said I mentioned the Trombocino. This is trombone squash. Trombone squash is great climbers, and they produce 3 foot, 4 foot long squashes that are like a stretched version of a butternut. So all the seeds are down in the fat end, and then you get this long neck that is just flesh, you know, so you can slice it and don't have to bother coring out the seeds. Now you can harvest them young before they mature as courgettes, or you can leave them and they will last you throughout the winter. Both they will store, and there's so much eating on them, you know, whatever you got. I got 5, had 1 as a courgette last year, gave 1 away, which left us with 3, and it took ages to eat through them, you know, because there was so much flesh in that 4 foot long neck. But these are definitely going, and they'll go in the polytunnel. Now we're going on to the winter squash and the pumpkins now. So that'll be used as winter squash mostly, but I'm going to grow more bush pumpkins and bush winter squash. So rather than being a massive sprawling vial and one plant can take over an entire bed, these are a bit more 2-3 foot across bush forming. They don't produce massive fruit, but they produce fruit that's big enough for about 1 person or maybe 2 people, depending on the variety. And I'm just going to go through them. This one's Amazonka. That's got quite a nice nutty flavour. It can grow, now if I remember, it was this one produced in that you could get 2 servings out of them if you had other stuff in the meal. But we had this stuff, we had it roasted, and it was really tasty. Honey Bear, this is a smaller individual portion green squash, although I noticed that over time it still went to orange in the end. These are more individual portions. Casperita F1. Now these are munchkin size. These are just little things, about the size of an apple, but nice. And if you've got them stuffed and sit on your plate, they just do look wonderful. Golden Nugget, a couple of pounds of size, so you can get that for 2 people. Butterbush, which is a butternut squash, but it grows as a bush. I got 1 of these last year and it was tasty, so I'm going to try them again this year. And I'm tempted to put this on top of the compost bin, so it's got all the goodness of that. And then I have winter squash Honey Bear. Oh, have I done Honey Bear already? No, I haven't. Yes, I have. That's just next to Honey Bear packet. And next one is Cornell's Delicata. It's supposed to be a very tasty squash, but it's a thinner skin than the other winter squashes, so this needs to be used up quite quickly. It doesn't store as long. But these should all form small compact plants. So I should be able to get maybe 2 plants of each. They'll produce maybe 2, 3, 4 fruits per plant, but if I've got 14 plants, 3 out of each, that's a lot of squash to last over winter. But I've got a spot in the back of the New Territories, the back of Beyond, that I'm thinking of just hiring in, because I've lost my traditional pumpkin area, which is where I put my polytunnel, and that's why I just put the vines and let them sprawl. So I'm trying to relocate another one, and this should be able to go in the back of the New Territories. So I've had a couple of orders. My niece wants a nice big one that can be used for soups, can be used for pies, and possibly even for carvings. But soups and pies were the main thing. So I'm going to pop out a vine one called Jack of All Trades. Now these are larger than those bush plants, I don't know how big they get to, but they get to a couple of kilograms, I think, 2-3 kilograms. And they should be bigger for, you know, a couple of people to do soups and stuff with, but it's a viner. So that'll sprawl and take up loads of space. And then Halloween, you know, you want Halloween decorations, you could carve that one, but look at the photos of this one. Now that is ugly. You don't even have to carve it, it'll scare away the neighbours. This is called Zombie F1 Hybrid. So again, it's a vine that'll be stuck in the back. Then I've got two interesting looking ones. I've got this one I got from the Heritage Seed Library. Squash, Georgia Candy Roaster. Yeah, this is sort of like a banana squash. And obviously it's meant for roasting. It's supposed to be sweet. So that's an interesting one I'm going to try. And there's this one, which is an East European one. Muscatina. So again, it looks a bit like a butternut. Or butternut type. So I want to try maybe a vein or two with that in the back as well. So I'm just going to stick them in the back and let them move around the place. So that's the winter squashes. Now let's have a look. Melons. Last year I grew Minnesota midget and I had a few nice small individual portions off of them. So I'm going to be growing them again this year. Each fruit is basically one portion. They're not massive melons, so you don't end up cutting up a melon and, you know, having half left in the fridge drying out and going bad. But I've got a few other melons I'm going to try, or try some of them. Somewhere in the bottom of my seed tray, of my seed box, I've got this. This is Kiwano, or horn melons. I don't know how old these seeds are. They might not grow, but they're sort of like spiny horned melon. You cut them open and it looks like sort of little balls of jelly with the seeds in the middle. So I'm going to have a go at some of them. Then I've got some watermelon, sugar baby. Never been successful with watermelon. With this one or anything else. I've got melon Malabar, which I might as well give it a go. And then there's another one from the Heritage Seed Library, Cantaluna, which is sort of a cantaloupe type melon. Now, I might not grow all of them, I might just go 2 or 3 of them, but definitely grow the Minnesota midget. I might dump the watermelons, and I'll decide which one of the other ones I'm going to grow. But they're the ones that I've got to select from. And now we'll come to the pile that I am really unlikely to grow, but you never know. Cucumber melon. I'm not too fond of cucumber melons. You know, I just never really took to them, but I've still got seeds left, so I might use them. Long white trailing marrow. Heritage Seed Library again. If I'm going to be filling up the space with those vined squashes, I might not have the space left for this. Snake gourds. Caution, fruits are not edible. So this is purely for decoration. Yeah, they don't come painted like that. You've got to paint them yourself. Probably not grow them. My nephew is now 21. Well, 21 next week. So he's gone past the finger painting stage. I might pass them to my sister. She's never gone past that. And then I've got a couple of doodies. Do you do doody? How do you do doody? Doodies is a type of gourd, and also known as calabash. And apparently, when they're young and they're pale green, they're edible, but they're also supposed to be quite big plants. So I've got the seed, but never got around to growing them, and I've probably not got around to growing them this year. So that's the squashes out the way and the cucumbers and stuff. Now I mentioned greenhouses, that I've got a few things to go in a couple of them to go in the greenhouse, which if I grew the gourds they would have to go in the greenhouse. I do have a couple of things for the greenhouse. I have okra, also known as gumbo, or lady's fingers, or bindi. Never grown them before, never cooked with them before, so I plan on seeing what they're like. This is Okra Clemson Spineless, because apparently it is a bit of a spiky plant. And then I have red Malabar, also known as Sri Lankan spinach or Malabar spinach. You can get red and you can get green varieties. And this thrives in the heat. So it's an indoor, needs to go in the greenhouse. And during the summer, you'll get lots of leaves that you can cook and eat like spinach. When your spinach is bolted. And so hopefully that'll grow in the polytunnel. And then I've got two things I want to grow in there, which brings me nicely into the next section, which is the beans. Your long beans. Who wouldn't like a 3-foot green bean? So I've got to try them. I did try the bush version last year, but I'd sown them far too late. So these are getting sown probably before everything else. And then I have runner bean firestorm. Both scarlet flowers, mass of them, a fabulous display that is followed by plenty of tasting beans. Being self-pollinated, it can set well even in poor weathers or high temperatures. So I think there's a couple of varieties of self-pollinating runner beans that you don't need to help with the bees, whereas most runner beans you do. And Firestorm's one, and then there's a white one, I think, with white flowers, which I can't remember what the name is. So I'm going to try these in the tunnel. So that's them, but moving on to the rest of the beans. Another runner bean I'm growing and I like is Greek Gigantes soup runner bean. So these are grown for the dry bean rather than the green pods. These come from Real Seeds, the only place I know that sells them, and they tend to limit them to one per person because they're quite popular and they're quite big. You're talking about quite big beans. So you don't get that many of them from a pod, but they're really tasty. And I like to grow them now each year. Climbing French beans. Lazy Housewife. Good for stringless beans, good for dried beans, nice flavour. So they're one. Bolota beans. I like to grow beans to get the bean rather than pod. And these have got a nice nutty flavour. Great when you do them in casseroles and soups and stews, or baked beans. Nice solid, good flavour and quite firm. Blue Lake, very tasty, very good bean. White beans, so you can use them in all sorts of food. And Cherokee Trail of Tears Climbing French bean. Apparently it comes from the Cherokee. And it's a black bean. This is from Real Seeds as well. So it's got small black beans, and of course black and white. We all know what that means. Now comes the dwarf beans. Stuck in areas around the plot where there's space for enough time. Now I've got Canadian Wonder. These are your chili beans. So if you do your chilies or you do your rice and peas, you need to grow these. And they're dwarf beans. But from the seed library this year, I got some. The Heritage Seed Library gave me what this is, Montezuma's Revenge. And I don't know if you can see these, but they're very similar. Maybe it's not quite as long, a bit smaller, but they are going to be grown this year, and I'm going to have to keep them separate. I'm going to have to not drop them on the floor. So I'll try growing them this year. Then, as a nice one to have as a bean is the Dalmatian, also known as the Yin Yang, or it's also known as Okra. Basically that is your black and white bean, and it's just an interesting one. Tastes okay, tastes nice. I have to admit, I like the taste of all these beans. Jacob Cattle Gold Bush Drying Bean. Again, it's a drying bean. I made a cock-up of these last year. I thought they were climbers, so I planted them all together at the bottom of the thing and didn't give them enough space, so I didn't get many beans off them. So I'm starting again, and this year I will plant them out and give them space. Annabelle, sort of white with a tint of green bean. Again, the pods of these are quite tasty. You know, so you can use them young and cook them as a bean, or let them mature as, you know, for the seeds. And then purple teepee. I've got a few seeds left from the other year, so I might as well plant them. Purple pods that, you know, like purple pods that don't keep their colour. So it looks interesting on the ground, but they just go green once you cook them, but they're tasty. So that's them. So I should be in for beans this year. And the next thing, I think the last pile of seeds that I've got here are sweet corn. So we have butterscotch. Yeah, they don't tell us what, you know, whether early or late, you know. So I'll see if I got them. It's supposed to be a shorter one, but I'm not going to go any sweet corn in the polytunnel this year. It gives a little bit earlier, but not that much, and it just kept trying to escape through the roof. So I'm just going to grow them outdoors. The second one is Swift, which is an early one. It says here, what does it say on the back? Mr. Funny has a sense of humour. He makes everyone laugh. When he's gardening, he usually has one of his funny hats which makes the birds and bees and butterflies laugh. Hang on, what? Who wrote this? Stop writing about me. Okay, so that's Swift. And then I've got one here which is Early King. So indoors mid spring and modules. In situ late spring, early summer. Plant out or transplant. 30 centimetres. Normal sugar. So it's not one of these extra sweet ones. But I think it's with a name like Early King, it should be an early one. I'll not plant all three varieties. I'll definitely plant one variety, and I'll think about planting another variety elsewhere. But yeah, that's the seeds that I've got for now. Now, the seeds that I had last year, last month, you can still sow as well. So you can pop them in. And they can be sown, a lot of them can be sown this month, a lot of them can be sown next month. So they're on a continuous thing, especially all the leafy stuff like the salads. And I will get on sorting this stuff out and keep on sowing them. So if you liked it, click like, subscribe, share with your friends, and I will see you on the next video. Ta-ra!